I really couldn't give you just major one reason of why I'm doing this. I'm doing this though because people are dying. This is an epidemic. Drugs, alcohol, and people are hopeless. People are broken. People are lost. And I'm doing this because I've been there. I've been that broken. I've been that hopeless. I've been that lost. I've been that confused and not really sure where I was going, what I was here for, what is my purpose in life. I'm doing this because people need to know that you don't have to stay where you are. You don't have to be stuck in this place, that you're in. A lot of people say, "Ooh, I'm living," and I thought in my addiction of those years that I was there that I was living. I wasn't living. Actually, I was dying slowly, and that's why I say people are dying. In our reality, we're all dying because that's what we were born to do. But at the same time, I was basically killing myself. When I got clean and I started learning me again, I found out that I was this broken little girl who was looking for all these different things, was looking for validation, was looking for love, was looking to be, heard. And in growing up, because I grew up in an addiction family, my mother was an alcoholic, my father was an alcoholic. So I didn't have, and nobody has a perfect life. Don't get me wrong. So I'm not blaming my mother. I'm not blaming my father, because at the end of the day, I had choices. But I was missing some things. I had experienced some things in life that I felt like, who's here to protect me? Who's here to talk to me? Who's here to love me? And a lot of times when we don't get those things, we start looking for them in other places. And in doing so, I found myself clinging to people that I thought was filling up what was missing in me. And at the same time, they were introducing me to things that were very unhealthy for me, that took me down this path of what we call addiction. But at the same time, they validated a part of me. And I thought that was the part that was going to heal me. But at the same time, I got caught up in that life. And that's when I say, choices, because there comes a point in time in addiction that we all realize, I got a problem. But we don't see it as a problem. Because when I'm at my lowest, this thing that I call problem helps me forget. When my heart is hurting because I don't feel that love, this thing right here helps me forget. So it's not a problem for me. It might be a problem for you, but it ain't a problem for me. Because this right now is fixing me. This is giving me what I've been missing. And so I know what that's like. But now I know what recovery is like. So you ask me, why am I doing this? Because I want the world to know that I don't need that drug anymore. One thing that my counselor told me in recovery, she said, if you don't deal with your issues, they'll deal with you. And for the longest, I never knew what that meant. And I was like, well, we all got issues, and we all do. But if I don't deal with the brokenness will deal with me. If I don't deal with the loneliness will deal with me. In other words, that very same thing that is bothering me was the very same thing that was driving me to do what I was doing. Instead of me attacking that thing head on and saying, okay, I'm broken. Why am I broken? What's broken in me? And I didn't do that. And a lot of times because it was too hard. It was too difficult. It was too difficult to look at my pain. It was too difficult to look at my brokenness and my hurt, because then I had to think about what got me broken. The abuse. That's what got me broken. The molestation. That was my brokenness. That was my hurt. The not being protected when I felt like I should have been protected. All those things. And we don't want to look at those things, because then we have to bring all that back up. And that hurts. And I'm not going to hurt me. You ain't going to hurt you. But those are things that we have to look at. But I'm doing this because I want you to know that even in spite of that, even in spite of those hurts and those brokenness and the loneliness and the fears that you have, there's a beautiful life that awaits you. We have a past that is so horrific. We have this trauma that we have experienced that is so horrific. We have all these things that we have experienced. And so I do this because once I dealt with my issues, once I dealt with my brokenness, once my higher power, my God of my salvation, he told me, he said, I love you. He said, I created you. I knew your future and I knew your past. He said, and even then I died for you. I hung and bled on a cross. He tells me that there's nothing I can do that will make him love me any less. And I give you all this because being a Christian and a firm believer, God said in his word, he said that, he would never leave me nor forsake me. Even in my addiction, even when I was out there, and it's so huge for me now that he was with me. And I say that to say this. The reason I say that is because there's a lot of people I got high with, that I did some things that I did with, they ain't here anymore. And I know you probably have that same experience. You get a phone call and you be like, oh man, do you know such and such overdosed? And when we think back on it, we be like, dang, I smoked as much as she did. I shot up as much as she did. I popped as many pills as she did. I drank as much as they did. But I'm still here. And that lets me know that there's purpose for my life. That's why I do this. Purpose for my life. I want you to know that recovery isn't about me. Recovery is about you and them and them and them. Recovery is about letting the next person know that, look, you don't have to stay there. Get up. Recovery is about extending a hand and say, you know what, I'm here for you. Recovery is about just having an ear to listen. Recovery is about me telling you some of my deepest, darkest secrets, if that's what it takes to get you from where you're at. I do this because I want to see people's lives changed. I want to empower people to let you know that this new life that I'm living, I wouldn't trade it for the world. That there is a beautiful life out here for us. That we can have these jobs, we can have homes, we can have our children back. We have so many gifts and talents within us that it will just blow your mind. These 19 years I spent in recovery, in my addiction, that was part of my training. That was my training for this very moment, this life that I'm living now. That was part of preparation. That was what it took to get me where I am today. And I wouldn't change it for the world. I don't know about you, but this life I have now, I'm grateful. I do this because there's so many people out there who are thinking, this is the end. I'll always be like this. It'll never change. I'm here to show you change. It's possible. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm here to let you know that you are more than an addict. You are more than your addiction. You are more than an alcoholic. There's so much more to you. So don't look at yourself as a nobody, because that's what we do. And I encourage you that if you haven't taken the steps, or if you're still actively in your addiction, get into rehab, get some help. Because this life is truly worth living.